Welcome to this course Basic Manufacturing Process Unit 4 Lecture 82 Miscellaneous Process. Agenda for today present in this video the history of the powder metallurgy, main characteristic of powders, morphology, and powder size range and distribution, powder flowability, chemical composition, sprayability, powder metallurgy and process, production of metal powder, production of metal powder and atomization. On the top, the points is present in very detail in this video. The chemical composition, obviously, those the generalized chemical specification is mentioned by the powder metallurgy can be said there can be wide and the variation in the chemistry from the lot of a powder. The powder metallurgy is the consideration of the important chemical reaction is the and generated to the powder. These are the variations can be often to the balance balanced to out by the mixing different lots of the together. The chemical reactions and fracture of the materials is the generated to the with and one or more reactions is the completed to the together to the generator of the powder. However, there can be also be problem. There are also be can be problems in the while the average chemistry is the corrected example less than the 0.05% of the Fe Eloha, and this the impurity can be formed by the clamps imported on the iron. The particles is present iron particle present due to the mechanically treatment during the sizing of the powder particles is the nanoparticles of the powders and the microparticles of the powder. Both are the particle is generated to the property of the powders related to the powder properties and sprayability regardless of how and the what is the specified in the resultant of powder and product the sprayability of the powder is often that the only for sure way of the ensuring that the product of the consisting the powder metallurgy is application of the make for the powder is the and the application of the industrial application and the research laboratory of the very good properties or very good unnatural powder is made from the any different of the manufacturing process is applied to the generated to powder. The powder metallurgy process. The powder metallurgy is the highly developed method of the manufacturing levels ferrous and non-ferrous particles and ferrous and non-ferrous metals is required to the powder of the powder of the metals. That is the powdered metals are used for the brass, bronze, stainless steel, and iron. These are the ferrous and non-ferrous. Both are metals required for the in powder form. The powder is generated to the chemical reactions and other machining operation is required for the making to the powder. The basic steps of the powder metallurgy, the powder production, the powder production in this operation in the make by the product of the ferrous and non-ferrous metals, balancing and mixing of element of alloy powders. and the powder is the very suitable powder is making for the suitable of production of product, and this is the adding for other element in this powder. The powder is the very strong and highly of the highly of the density of the powders is the making for the powder. The compression and the dye, the compression of the dye is very required for the production of the powder, and the of the step in included to the manufacturing of the making for the powder. The centering is the fourth step of the making for the powder metallurgy. The powder is the nature the make for the naturally in the form of the synthetic and the manufacturing operation, secondary and finishing operation. The powder metallurgy in the powder making for the fifth step in the with the secondary and finishing operation. The powder is the making for the pure form of the powders of the material, and increases the density and the working and strength of the physical chemicals and mechanical properties of the consisting in the powder consisting in the powder of the metal. Ferrous and non-ferrous metal both are the metals in the ingesting in the property of chemical, mechanicals, and electrical. All the properties ingesting in the powder of the production of the metal powder. The chief raw material, the chief raw used in the production of powder metallurgy component are the metal powder. The making for the powder of the metal and non-metal in the powder. The production of powder metallurgy is a application of the metal and non-metal ferrous and non-ferrous metals in the powder. The server the techniques have the has been developed which the permit large production rate of the powdered these particles, often with the considerable control over the size range of the finer range of production, finer range of pollution proportion processing. These the consist of fine high purity metal powder. High purity of metal powder is produced. The metal powder is produced by the process such as the highly density of the and highly properties consisting of the powder making for the in operation. The atomization is the basic property is check for the powder. The in this operation in the check for the powder particles of the nanoparticles and the microparticles of the powder mechanical constitution. In this operation in check for the powder is the mechanical the chemical composition and the aluminum magnesium silicon all the all the element all the element mixing in the basic in the required for the property or application of the powder. Chemical reduction in this operation is the powder in the consisting of the chemical reaction in one and other elements with the other element, and the composition of the chemical is very required for the electric electrolytic and techniques is this operation in the check for the electrical properties and the fine property of the electricals in the find of the testing of the powder of the metals non-metals. Agglomerization in this operation and the in this operation in the checking for the powder of the ferrous and non-ferrous metal in the very powerful. The powder the production of the powder metallurgy is counter atomization. Atomization is the process used for the chemical to produce the large quantities of the metal powders in the water and gas. Atomization is raw material melting to the liquid metal in broken into the individual particles. Atomization in this operation, the large components of the metal and non-metal pieces in the mixing in the mixing in the melting of the material in the liquid form, and then are the also liquid form broken into and the broken into the small particles form of the nanoparticles and the microparticles level of the powder. The accomplices this is the melt stock in the form of electrical elemental multi-element and the metallic alloy of the highly quality scarf of the in the metal in the furnace after the bath of the molten and homogeneous. It is the transfer for the tonsils which are the reservoir used for the supply of the constant controller flow of the material in the atomization chamber. This is this is the in the required for the this is the melting of the material. This is a furnace of the this is whole source of the generated to the metal in the generated to the metal form. This is the two holes screw in the jet form of the metal is supplying water spray one when the this is the metal powder is the melting water is the spray in the downside and spray for the cooling for the water of the the water of the spring. This is the pressure source. This is the pressure of the gauge pressure is the pressure source supply for the water. The chamber. This is the chamber of the water in the this is a powder is the mixing for the water with the water. Okay, with the water. This is the metal particle is the very cool metal particle is the cooling from the is collected to the base of the chamber. The metal this particle is collected from the very high large number of densities for required for the powder. This is the powder is generated to the powder I collected for the powder. Okay, the production of the metal powders is the continue as the metal stream existing the temperature is the transfer of the highly velocity stream and atomization medium. The water, air and other inert gases. These are the this is the melting chamber of the metal is the mixing melting of the metal form, liquid form, the vacuum induction of the melter. The induction of the, this is the nozzle. Nozzle this is the gas source of the apply for this is operation. This is the powder is the making for the another. This with the spray for the cooling of the metal powders particles with the help of gas, oil, water, air, gas, and all the all the required for the gases of the required for the metal. This is the chamber in this. This is the gas fine particle. This is the gas of the this is the gas. This is this is the gas chambers of the gas. The particles in the consisting of the very high. I think the fine. This is required for the powder only consisting of the collected for the powder. Powder from this is chambers. The and other the space of the collecting for the powder in the form of the with the air and vacuum of the chair. This is the collection form of the powder is the collecting of the chamber is the collection of chamber of the powders. The molten metal stream is the dissolution into the fine droplets with the solidify during near the fall through the atomization of the tank. The particle are controlled. The particle are controlled at the bottom of the tanks. Alternative, the centrifugal forces can be used for the bring up to the liquid as it is the removed from the verify of the rotating electrode for spring of the vacuum on the The production of the powder metallurgy is continuing. The automation, this is the horizontal required for the machine. This is the vacuum of the vacuum gas vacuum of the chamber in the per tungsten coated materials. This is the shaft is rotated for the shaft is transmitted to the power, and this is the rotating power. This is the required for the belt. This the motor of the motor is the power is the electrical power converted into mechanical power. Okay, this is the bosses. This is brass is required for the electrolysis electrode of the feed. This is the spindle speed is very required for the this is the feed feed is required for the feed is required for the machine. This is the workpiece. This is the workpiece is rotating for the guessing of the this is on the surface of the front. This is the fine of the particle is collected to the base of the earth. Thank you so much in this operation. In this video, I deal with the making some of operation in the powder metal. Powder is the making for the ferrous and non-ferrous metals is in the required for the mechanical and chemical reactions or the procedure is application required for the powder. Okay, thank you so much.